guys, welcome to another episode of Real Talk Russ podcast with your host, me, Russ Martini, and I'm joined with my co-host Ty, and we are coming to you guys, as everyone said, live from San Diego Comic-Con with the creator and essentially owner and founder of Mad Love Comics, Mr. James Welch. So he's joining us here on the podcast today. And welcome, man. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. It's been fun, man.
It's been a fun little learning experience.
Yeah. It has. So obviously we're in San Diego right now. You know.
Oh, is that where?
Yeah, is that where we're at? So we're here, and you were at Comic-Con yesterday.
I was.
How was that?
It was good. It was busier than Saturday. It felt like.
Yeah.
But a lot of people said that wasn't true. But maybe I just was in the wrong corners.
Yeah, so, okay, were you there, because now they're all going to know this, but were you there for the Robert Downey Jr. announcement of
No.
Dr. Doom?
Well, they didn't even put that out there. It was a surprise.
Yeah.
I've actually never been to Hall H.
Okay.
So I've never done the whole panel discussion or
Gotcha, okay.
saw it on TikTok.
Yeah, it was crazy. There was a lot of people that were like talking about it. I mean, as soon as it hit, man, everybody was just going nuts over it, right? Completely nuts. But yeah, I was just kind of curious if you were maybe even in the vicinity.
I wasn't.
No? Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what that time point was from the minute he announced it to the minute it got out and everyone was just going crazy. Because it swept all throughout Comic-Con, right? You had all the Hollywood industry going crazy. You had the comic world going crazy. You had everyone. Everyone was just like, holy shit.
I kind of wish they would have saved that for the movie.
Imagine if they had done
like the reveal during the movie.
Remember what was the earlier days of Marvel? Like those reveals were like secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and
because they've been dipping down. They need him to bring the sales up.
That's fair.
Yeah, this goes back to literally our previous episode, which listeners are going to hear. It's coming out. Well, the episode before this, where we're kind of talking about that, right? We're talking about Marvel being at its low point, taking a dip. Actually, we had several episodes where we talked about that, but Marvel's taking a dip. So I think this is their last-ditch effort to reel in, the crowd and save the day, so to speak. Because when we're bringing this to you guys, obviously Comic-Con's going on, right? But also we have the release of Deadpool, right? Deadpool and Wolverine. Huge movie, good. Did you guys see it yet?
I have not.
I have not.
Okay, I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was pretty solid.
You go tonight? Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty freaking good, I think. And they even kind of talk about that. I won't spoil it, but it's not even a spoiler. It's mentioned. That Marvel's being at its low.
Marvel Jesus, isn't that what he says?
Yeah. He calls himself Marvel Jesus, and that's like his. You'll see it, man. But and it's kind of like that's a really good point, and I think, Tyler, you make a good point on that. Like, they're at that point where it's so low and it's so scary and dangerous for them that they're losing money, bleeding money from a lot.
They still sell $1 billion in some of those movies and call it a flop. I don't get it.
Yeah, but that's because they want $5 billion instead of $1, and it's like that's where they're at. So I think for them doing that and announcing it is it's like their Hail Mary.
Yeah.
They're trying.
That makes sense, but I hope they save something.
Yeah. No, it would be badass. Just to think if you're sitting in the seat and all of a sudden it's Robert Downey Jr. that's behind that mask, be like, oh.
Yeah, because everyone's talking about why it should be, or I hope it's not this. The whole drama that starts when they do things like that. Because how do you put Iron Man and not see Iron Man in the character as Dr. Doom, and then everyone has all these. Because I don't know the story of Dr. Doom or the storyline where Iron Man becomes Dr. Doom. But everyone's like, this isn't part of the comics. Well, if you haven't read the comics, then you don't know it's a part of it. So then you got that whole controversy where everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
And their opinion's right and everyone else's opinion's wrong. So
yeah.
That's already started.
Yeah.
You do have a vast majority that have not read comics but like the movies too. So then when they see that, they're like,
how's that gonna... But at the same time, you had Josh Brolin was Thanos.
And
Cable. I mean, but different enough in looks.
Yeah.
Unless RDJ is always going to wear the mask and never take it off.
Which would be the purpose of it.
Yeah, that would be part of the course for Doom, but it's still like I'm kind of with you where I wish they wouldn't have just said it. Like, just let me find out later on. You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like,
tease it.
They're trying to capitalize on every dollar, man. They want every person who's bailed out, like you, to come back and be like, oh shit, maybe this will be how we get Ty back. That's all it is, just for you, Ty.
and it probably will, unfortunately.
I mean, I've watched every Marvel movie made. It's just the difference between spending $100 at a theater or waiting till it comes out on digital or download streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wait for streaming now.
Yeah.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah? No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, man.
For a crappy movie.
If it is crappy, yeah, 100%. Just like wait till like Disney Plus and then hope that it's good, right? That's all we can do is hope that it's good.
Yeah.
And if it's Miss Marvel, Tyler's all in.
That's
not true. Let's not do this.
I
quit.
I'll have to
He's all in.
come up with a cosplay of Miss Marvel.
You should. Speaking of, so that's a good segue.
Yeah. Let's reel it back.
Got off on a tangent real quick. Sorry, guys.
Tangents are okay. We don't have to talk about me. It's all right.
Yeah. Right. Well, guys,
Okay
it's Comic-Con, right? So we have to talk. We have to talk about some of these. If not, we're irrelevant, and there's no point even being in San Diego. So we got to talk about these things. But to that point, so James, we're going to talk about you for a second.
Oh man.
Probably for a couple seconds. Probably for 45 minutes to an hour, So you're the center of attention, man.
Hey, my vodka, let's go.
All right, so tell us, what is Mad Love?
What is Mad Love? I'm still figuring it out, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just an expression of stuff I like. It's really what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't have all the answers. But, I'm really big on art. I've been a collector I didn't start collecting until later in my 20s, so, which was only like last year. So it's I'm newer to the game as far as collecting.
Yeah.
But I've gone overboard, and I have a lot of stuff that I like. Art being one of them. I have a lot of different likes in my art as well, which I think kind of comes through with the stuff that I choose to publish. I look at it and go, if I like it, maybe someone else will like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. There's stuff that I still publish that I know is not going to be necessarily liked as wide as other things, but I'll still do it because I like it.
That's the beauty, I think, of being an artist in any shape or form, is you get to be selfish.
Yep.
I mean, if you really think about it, yeah, you are selfish in that moment because you're creating some form of media, right? That whether someone else likes it or not doesn't really matter because you created it. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's rarefied air, baby. That's how it works.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't like it, they don't have to buy it. They don't have to look at it. But it's like, in that sense, it's a little selfish, but it's kind of cool because a lot of people typically will like it.
Yeah.
And then you'll capture that, So it's, I hear that.
Yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately, I don't have a boss to tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I probably need that, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah. No, I hear it. So essentially, it's a book, right? Your company, you're producing, we won't say comic books, but art books.
Yeah, art books is how I started.
Yeah, art books. And we do say comics in there because you do have some books that are comics,
that are
right?
coming out as far as story based. That I've been working on. The one kind of I threw together, the art book one is a response to something, and that one came about quite quickly. The Madison book has actually been in production for 9 months.
Okay.
From the initial idea to starting to talk about it, having the artists get involved, and then the interiors, and hopefully that's going to come out next month. We'll see.
Yeah.
I've learned that deadlines are great suggestions.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to working in an artistic field.
Yeah.
So it's already 3 issues. I'm on my 3rd issue as far as it being illustrated. So once the first one drops, it'll be a regularly occurring thing. If it goes well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe people will like it. Maybe they won't.
Yeah.
But I like it.
So, that's all that matters, right?
What got you into this line of work? That's what I'm curious about.
What got me into this line of work?
Like, where did you go from I love art to I want to publish and all those kind of things?
I've always wanted to be a part of the industry. And originally how I kind of got started was as a designer and web developer. I tried using my skills in that area to help out other businesses. But it tends to not be, I'm not cheap. You know, I have a lot of experience in it, and so I would always want to build it right.
Yeah.
And so it just, you know, with comics and small businesses or people who are just one-man shows, it's not exactly the most inexpensive thing to do. So that's why you see a lot of the retailers, they'll use stuff like Shopify and all these other like build-it-yourself websites, which are great. So that's kind of, I was like, okay, well, that didn't really get anywhere. But then I saw an opportunity to use my skills in the design aspect in creating books. And the reason I went with, you know, the art books and unpublished artists and new artists, or even the cosplay stuff, is I wanted to do something different than the majority of retailers out there, or resellers, or the whatnot people. And, you know, there's a lot of sharing of content that everyone's trying to sell.
Yeah.
And I don't like competition. I mean, you know, as far as like having to compete against 100 other people to sell the same thing.
Right.
In the same market.
It just makes it a little harder to really grow. But it was always just a passion thing. You know, I had a full-time job, and just kind of did this on the side. And I was blessed to work with a lot of really amazing artists from the beginning. Had a lot of great support from a lot of people at the very beginning. Shout out Goblin Collectibles. And it just went from kind of a passion, I like art type thing, to being here.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but it happened.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll kind of like touch on that a little bit more too, because and you kind of mentioned like Whatnot. So that's where you and I initially met, was on Whatnot. And you mentioned Goblin Collectibles. Zach from Goblin is also kind of who I really met you through, essentially, who's fantastic. And if you guys aren't on Whatnot, just we'll plug in your sites right now too. We'll flash them on the screen and talk about them. But Mad Love, was it madlovecomics.com?
Yes, do not accidentally type in madlove.com, because that is a very different site.
You'll get a very different site.
It's not an adult site, but I think it's a lingerie thing. I once sent the link to someone, an artist, and said, "Here's my website, check it out." And I forgot the comics.
Oh.
And I was like, unsend. She got a good laugh out of it. Like, yeah, don't forget the
Shout out
comics
to Mad
part.
Love.
Yeah, shout out to Mad Love for
sponsor the show.
their website. But yeah, madlovecomics.com, and you could check out any of James's books. We have some of them here on display for you guys. In honor,
Beautiful
you know,
art.
yeah, Deadpool right there, and there's actually a couple of those books, just fantastic. But yeah, he's also a seller on Whatnot. And that's where we met, because we're also on Whatnot, a little newer to the game. Obviously, you guys have been doing it for a couple of years there, but yeah. So that's that's where we kind of initially met you, and that's where I saw your art, and I was like, man, these are cool books. You were essentially, I would say, one of the very few being like two that I know of, and I haven't seen any others really do this, where you're taking essentially cosplay art, putting it into a media or book media, and, you know, turning it into something like, you know, essentially what would be called a small comic book, right, of art. And that's unique in itself, man. That's 100% unique. It's not really being done.
No, I mean, publishers will put out their art books of past published covers and whatnot, which has been a topic among some of the podcasts I've been on in the past. But I think a lot of it, and the reason why I've never really, I think it's a little bit different, is the purpose of my art books.
Yeah.
Is to get those artists exposure. You know, so that's the best product that I came up with, as far as like how to give them something that they can take to other companies. Because that's actually my goal. If I can publish an artist for the first time or early on in their career, and they end up somehow getting picked up because of it, I've been successful in what I've been trying to do. You know, I'm not just doing it just to make $1, really.
Yeah. And who are some of the artists?
I want $1. I'll take $1. But in the end, my success, I measure my success on the success of those people that I touch.
Who are some of the artists that you've had work with you or work, you know, in the past?
So Anna Marcano was my first success story. I did her first book, which was actually my first book, and now she's gone on to work for many other companies. And Aruka's one who now has done stuff for Ryan Kincaid and SR Comics. Ivan Talavera. I kind of right before he went on to do retail stuff for Marvel covers through retailers. Nathan Lorenzana,
another big name.
You know, so it's I kind of get my little kicks out of being like the early guy, in hopes that, you know, if they come back to me a year and say I've doubled my rates and I'm really super busy, that's like, okay, good, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Just don't forget about me in one day.
Yeah.
Don't forget about us little people.
Yeah.
But I've always been able to foster really good relationships with every artist that I've worked with. You know, there's sometimes you have those stories of just artists having an experience with the people they work with that's not always positive. And I haven't been told any. Maybe they just keep it quiet. I don't know. Maybe I did piss off one. I don't know. But I always put the relationship first.
Yeah.
And so it's blessed me in many ways.
What's the selection process for when you find an artist and you do the whole, from start to bottom?
I see their art and I reach out and say, hey, I like what you do. You want to get published? Is basically what it is. At the beginning, you know, if it's all the exposure books with like art book or even the art books, it's what do you want to draw?
Yeah.
You know, so like Anna's Zatanna, she came back and said, I've always wanted to draw Zatanna. So that's what we did. And it ended up being really well received. I found that if you give the artist as much room as they feel comfortable with, some like direction, some need a lot of direction, some need very little direction. Whatever they're comfortable with, that will produce the best, something they're happy with.
Okay.
Is kind of the, you know, process. Like, what do you want to do?
So does that initial idea sometimes that when you reach out to an artist, does it sometimes change based off what they want to do? Like versus
I
your
usually
original
what
idea?
I do is I had one artist where I skimmed through all of her stuff and it was Fernanda, I believe she did my Jinx cover.
Okay.
And I was just scrolling through her feed and I just noticed that one of her descriptions of one of her posts, she said, I love, like, Jinx is my favorite person to draw. And so when I reached out, I said, hey, I really want to do a Jinx cover. Would you be interested? Hell yeah. And that was, you know, that's kind of, I do a little research on what they like to do. Mm-hmm. And then if I have to suggest a character, I go, okay, well, what about this one? Already knowing that there's a good chance that they'll say yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like an informed, like,
yeah, I do a little research.
Yeah.
And then I always go, you know, I never try to direct their style.
Of course.
I came into it liking something that they did. I'm not going to try to pigeonhole them into something that, you know,
makes sense. Yeah.
So is it like something you just you know it when you see it type thing, or
yeah, pretty much.
Or like you have a select style?
No.
Just know
if you look at, I think I've done over 250 of these things in the last year and a half, and I will say that I have a very wide range of styles that have been published. Mostly because I like a lot of different ones, but at the same time, my audience, I don't want to have an audience that's just centered around one specific style. Styles come and go. Mm-hmm. If you're stuck in one or two, you can really hurt yourself in the long run. As far as, you know, if people move on from that, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And then you got to spend you have to pretty much start over, fostering new customers based upon a new style. So if you go into it with like all over the place, you can kind of find out which one works and adjust. You know, I've done anime stuff, you know, and if I ever like want to do an anime cover again or an anime based character, I've done it before.
Yeah.
So it's not as much of a gamble. I can kind of get an idea that on how well received it will be. Or I just, you know, am able to grow the audience around more avenues of styles.
Okay.
Man, so it's funny because in hearing that, like, the concept in you know, what you're focusing on is art, but really it's people at the end of the day. Like, mm-hmm. Essentially it's you know, giving the artist, the freedom to do what they're going to do, right? Do you have like in-house photographers you like to use, or is it pretty much whoever?
For the cosplay stuff, they handle it all themselves.
Okay.
And then, you know, sometimes it's already a finished product or a finished photo shoot. Or if I'm looking for a specific character or series that I want to do, I ask them if they've done it, and if they have, they handle everything. You know, because most of them are in Ukraine and other countries, Russia, Portugal, Spain, kind of a lot of Europe.
On that, let me interrupt you real quick. Do you ever get worried that they're gonna like? And I'm not saying anyone in particular, but that anyone ever will sell you essentially unlicensed product. So a photo they don't even have the rights to, but they're just
No.
like no.
No,
Okay.
I mean it's the ones I work with. Cosplay for many of them is their job,
Yeah.
and it comes. It's always credited to who the photographer is.
That's good.
Because a lot of these books, the photographer is also a cosplayer.
Okay.
The editor is also a cosplayer. So it's like a small group that I work with primarily called Cos Idols, and they all work together.
That's
so
good. Yeah, you kind of give yourself a little bit of insurance.
You don't have to
with
really
that.
worry,
Yeah.
about a cosplayer trying to sell someone else's photo.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of hard to sell a photo of yourself that wasn't authorized to be taken. But I've had some cosplayers where their agreements with the photographer doesn't allow them to sell it, and they tell me.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of photographers that own the rights to their photos. Like they take pictures of whoever, but they own those rights, and until those are sold, it's like. But that could be more of different circumstances, right?
Yeah, and I think that's an American thing too.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that could also be like just different countries and how we have things set up versus how they have it with our. Dude, everyone here is so happy. Everyone wants to. You can't even say the word Marvel here because they're like, "Hey, did he license that?" They want to. But that's just how it goes. But okay, yeah. All right, I hear you on that. What do you think? So right now, if you guys have not checked out, his books, hopefully at this point, hopefully you're not driving, but you've pulled up his website.
Some people do that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're on Whatnot, like driving.
I've heard it 1,000 times, man.
What? Don't do that.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Don't
man.
die for a $5 comic.
If you're driving, listening to the podcast, I would say just wait till you're safe to pull up your phone, right? Like,
or if you're skilled.
Or if you're I'm not gonna say that. We're talking about getting sued right now. Yeah. Some guy, Ty told me on Real Talk Russ that I better just pull this up right now if I'm skilled.
I can't
you
lose
heard about that
Ty.
Yeah, see, he's
fight right.
Good luck fighting that one in court. Ty said.
Yeah.
I thought your mic was supposed to be turned off this show.
Yeah.
It should be.
We were gonna shut Ty's mic off, but we decided, we gotta let it play through.
You should have. I'm just sitting here and
yeah, he's gonna be the quiet, like the mime kind of just nod.
Looks like I'm talking, but I'm not.
Yeah. But so on that note, what's your what do you think is like the next, without giving away too much, the next kind of big stepping stone for you with Mad Love?
Well, it's the Madison. So there's a start to finish. It's supposed to be a monthly comic, but it'll probably go on Kickstarter, so that I'll push it out, for fulfillment. I'm not going to put out issue 2 if issue 1 hasn't been received in hand.
Yeah.
But it's written as if it's a monthly, which it'll eventually will be. So that's the whole process of finding the interior artist, the colorist, the lettering, the idea, the story. The first 12 issues are already mapped out.
Yeah.
The first 4 are written and completed.
Yeah.
Third one's being illustrated right now. First 2 are pretty much ready to go. I think it's almost done with lettering. So that'll start coming out next month. After that, it's, I don't know.
I can say I'm excited for it, man. Like you showed us, we got to see. We're not going to show you guys here, but we did get to see some behind the scenes stuff on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be pretty.
I hope so.
Man.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man.
Are you gonna break? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! I think the art, the way you have it, we were talking. So we had a discussion, obviously, last night. We we're talking about a lot of people buy the books just for the covers, right? They'll buy it and they'll never crack it open. This book, you're going to want to crack open. You're going to want to crack that open. I would say buy 2 copies. One to just kind of, display or keep, nice and neat. The other one, reader copy all day long.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, because a lot of, in my typical pricing and whatnot, it for some, opening up a $25 book is a little, you just don't want to do it, because it is an investment. And I never really want to assume that, $5 might be a lot for me and 25 might be a lot for someone else, and 1,000 might be a lot. I've cracked $1,000 books to read.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to read the book. I like my
It
Grail.
made me sweat just thinking about that.
My first big Grail I bought for myself was Batman Adventures 12, and I bought it raw,
Which is the first appearance of Harley Quinn, for anyone who doesn't know.
If you don't know that, then we need to talk.
Like twice.
But she's only in the book like
two
pages.
100% 2 pages.
Right? But I wouldn't have known that unless I'd opened it. And I actually thought about, if I ever work up the courage to do live streaming of some sort, it's like, how about we just read the book together? I'll crack it right there on camera live and let's read it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they should be.
We'll do a spin-off, man. We'll do a spin-off.
It'll be just Cracked Grails being read by...
Story hour with James. We're just going to go over the book. You can
just
read your books.
Wear gloves. I didn't even wear gloves because it's not something I don't do it to resell it. So first, I got into it because I am a collector.
Yeah.
Of many things. Art is one of them. Statues. I have a Lego collection that makes most people jealous. Most kids jealous. I just love collecting. So it's not something I'm looking at like reselling.
Right.
If I buy it from an artist or an original or a cover or a sketch commission, it's for me. It's not thinking, I got to get it for this price and it has to be in this condition because I want to make this much money. And I don't play that game. I don't sell other people's stuff. So if I buy something that someone else has produced, it's going on my shelf.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at putting it on my shelf. Now sometimes I tend to buy doubles.
Yeah.
If I forget what I've bought.
I think,
So I might throw those on a show or give them away. I did a Ultimate Fallout 4, which isn't my thing, but I was doing what was I doing? Some type of pre-Ukrainian trip thing, and I was like, let me put up for $1, and it's not a cheap book, and ran it for $1. It sold for a couple more dollars than that, but
that's a couple,
a little bit.
I don't. I have my collected things that I like and characters. And then sometimes I come across other things that aren't really my thing.
Yeah.
And I'll sell that. But if I'm buying it for me, it's going on my shelf.
Yeah. I agree with that. I'm the same way. Tyler can tell you. I have a lot of stuff that I collected. And I've done the doubles thing too, where I'm like, oh shit! I realize I bought that twice.
It's not so bad if it's a $5 book from the comic book store, but when you're spending $200-$300 for some of these things,
but why do we do that?
Why do I do that?
Why do we all do that? I know the answer.
FOMO.
The art, for me.
Yeah, it's the art, but if you're you really liked it in the first place, you bought it and you just forgot that you bought it. So did you like it? Did you really like it? If
you liked it in that moment. In that moment.
I think in that moment.
I've done that a lot.
And then you got that
whatever. And I'm like, I got this in the mail. Forgot about that shit.
Oh yeah,
happens all the time.
I'll swear that I didn't have it, and then I get proven wrong. And I'm like,
I ended up having to organize my collection into binders based upon artist.
Yeah.
So then I would go to if someone's doing a show with a Ryan Kincaid thing, I actually have to go to the binder and look through my covers and go, I don't have it. And I had to move away from the binders thing because I had 50 binders. Because you only could fit 20 in each binder.
Yeah.
So I had 50 to 60 of these binders, and I'm running out of space. So now it's in on shelves, but I use little dividers.
Yeah.
That go in between each artist, going, here's my little section. I'm OCD like that.
All right.
And I try not to waste too much money on the doubles or triples.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it adds up, man. It definitely adds up. For anyone that collects anything, you have to know that stuff adds up. Whatever it is. I like movie props and replicas. I'm just a sucker for that stuff. Lightsabers of Star Wars.
Coming to Mad Love soon. Movie props and replicas. No.
I'm telling you, man, it's absolutely. We'll have a movie props hour, and then he reads a book for an hour. We'll do a little spin-off show.
We'll do lightsabers
with lightsabers.
Yeah, with lightsabers. Hey guys, this episode of Real Talk Russ is brought to you by Mad Rabbit Tattoo Aftercare. This product here is fantastic. We all use it for our tattoos. As you can see, we're sleeved out, and it's been used on my arms, all across my body, and it works fantastic. So for 20% off, guys, go to realtalkruss.com. Use our code RealTalkRuss. You'll get 20% off your entire order or any product you buy. You can find that link also in our link tree or our website. Please go to it. Both Tyler and I use it. We love it.
I wish I would have found it much sooner. I've had tattoos my whole life, and some of them have not turned out the best, but with the recent tattoos I've had, I love what I'm getting from them. So you guys definitely check it out.
You guys probably recognize them from Shark Tank. I can tell you they're phenomenal. So go check them out. Use code RealTalkRuss for 20% off your entire order. So James, I'm not gonna let you escape until we talk about this because you and I have already had this conversation, and dude, I was like, he was talking about it like it was nothing the other night, but. What I really have to bring up is you kind of mentioned it, your trip to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was just so casual talking about this.
Yeah, I'm just chilling.
It's like,
in
yeah,
Ukraine
just went to Ukraine
during the war.
Totally
fine. Got some cosplayers with me.
Yeah.
I saw, I came back. That's about
Yeah.
it.
So just walk us, and we don't have to spend an hour on it, but just walk us through what that was like. So when did you go? What was that? For everyone listening, they got to hear this, man.
I think it was the beginning of June. So the cosplay books, because I know there's cosplay covers, but I do cosplay books, and there's about 12 cosplayers in Ukraine that I work with quite extensively.
Yeah.
And so my goal one year, hopefully next year, is to bring 6 of them here to cosplay as a convention with Mad Love.
Yeah.
Which I think would kind of really set a statement.
Which we're going to tag along and document it, by the way.
Yeah, don't mind us.
Like, we want the backstage passes.
Yeah.
So that was the goal. But up until I went to this trip, I was just a random guy on the internet that was paying them money for photos. Like, if you really think about it, like, you want to come to America, I'll pay for it and put you up in a hotel, and it's kind of creepy.
Oh, 100%.
Like, you have to,
yeah.
I never share pictures of me online because I don't like my picture taken. They didn't know what I looked like. I could have been anything. So I had suggested it to one of the cosplayers, and I said, well, you should come out for FanCon, which is a cosplay convention in the capital of Kyiv. And I was like, okay, great. And
what year was this?
This was last month. Was it? What are we in July? End of July. So it was the beginning of June.
Yeah.
I went for 2 weeks. It was around the cosplay convention, so that was really helpful. And so I met them all. Every single one that has a visa that could come to America said yes.
Yeah.
So that will happen at some point. We just have to work out schedules. Pugovka, who's kind of the founder of the studio, she's an internationally recognized, award-winning cosplay photographer. And so she would be coming, Bellatrix, probably Daria, anyone who has a visa, that they would come. So I'm going to pop them down in, New York or Orlando. But I had to make that trip.
Orlando has to be I don't want to go to New York, man. New
You don't
York's
want to New
terrible.
York?
No, it's
if I can get into San Diego,
let's do
I'll
San
bring
Diego.
up San Diego. I'm going to need some
closer to
school
home.
because it's a little harder to get into San Diego than,
Well, we were
some
talking.
of the other ones.
We talked about this. There'll be good stuff to come.
There's ways to get into that.
There'll be good stuff to come.
So that was the intent, and I decided to go now because I didn't want to wait for the war to be over.
Yeah.
To continue growing the things that I feel very strong about.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-day trip in by plane and bus, or no, train, and then it took 3 days to come back. Right, a bus and then plane. But it was an experience. I mean, the lust for life that the people had over there was very invigorating, I guess, or it was good to see. It was nice to see.
Yeah.
That there was the air raids were going off on a regular basis towards the end of the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But there was one night where most people, when they hear the air raids, just go on about their day. And I asked one of the girls, and she said, well, we also get, they have social media and channels that will explain what's going on. So then that's when they know whether they need to shelter in place or not. But there was one night, and then it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, the air raids went off. So I was listening to the hallway. No one got up, no one moved. But all of a sudden I thought the building was like creaking, like, when like houses do in the middle of the night. No, it was a rocket that had just been shot down, like, I don't know, a mile away from overhead. And like their drones are being shot down. They were telling me that nothing had really gotten in to Kyiv for like a couple years because their air defenses have been really good. But then 2 weeks after I left was the whole thing with the children's hospital being bombed, which was pretty much down the road from the studio. So the studio has no more windows. It's just, and I was like, well, how did they get through? And it's like, well, they sent so many at once. I think it was 38 missiles at one time. They shot down 30 of them, but 8 got through. Droned. And so it was, I didn't really think about it too much, which probably helped me stay somewhat sane. but it was probably not very sane to go in the first place. But I needed to develop relationships, and I felt strong enough about it that it was worth the trip.
Yeah.
And, you can die crossing the street.
That's a good point, man.
You could die in a war zone too.
Or you could die in a war zone.
But he's probably the only guy. They're like, you probably have like some, black ops, CIA dudes rolling in with their backpack, their beards, and the ball caps. You got James strolling in there, and he's just like, yeah, what are you here for? And cosplay. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah. I was asked, or I was very. A lot of people wondered why.
Yeah.
That was the question I got. Why?
Yeah.
And because I wanted to.
I could tell you this, man. That's a lot of respect, because you got people who wouldn't, they wouldn't honestly cross the street for, their passion or for something that they want to do. They're not willing to, just travel to, I don't know, New York, here in our own country to, do
some people, yeah.
We just said we wouldn't go to New York.
Yeah, I mean, I just said I wouldn't go. Well, fuck, man. Who wants to go to New York? Sorry if anyone's in New York. Sorry.
I enjoyed the New York, the New York Comic Con. I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was well organized.
But you went to a whole nother like an actual war country. Like I said, that's some balls, man. That's maybe you weren't. That wasn't your initial thought. It's like, yeah, I got some balls. I'm gonna go to this country. Like that's literally in the middle of a war. But still, you did for the sake of your business, right? Building the relationships with people who essentially you never met and hadn't met you. You were just a face on the internet, and that makes perfect sense, man. Because they're not gonna come out here. Maybe they will, but for the most part...
It's actually Pugovka and Bellatrix routinely go to the Houston, go to Texas for one of the shows that they have.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is, so they've been to America a couple times.
But it says more that you were willing to make that trip. You know what I'm saying?
I think if you ever want to start a relationship with someone, the whole I scratch your back, you scratch mine?
Yeah.
A lot of people tend to go, well, scratch my back and I'll return the favor. Is kind of how a lot of people approach that. For me, it's like I always feel that if I want something to happen, if I want to develop a relationship with someone, I have to be the first one to scratch someone's back. And hopefully get my back scratched too, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah, and it also shows like the level of seriousness, right? Like, and that's what I think it's important, especially when building a relationship, is it's very easy to say, yeah, we can work together in the future. Yeah, we can do, X, Y, Z. But if you're willing to say, hey, look, I'm willing to take this initial step and do X, Y, Z, that shows your level of commitment, right? So that going forward, they can kind of say, okay, cool, like, hey, this is a guy who showed up, and you may get priority next.
I mean, come on, I went and saw 12 very attractive women to talk about cosplay. I mean, it kind of sells itself if you think about it.
I mean, yeah, but there's one little, 3-letter word, war, that kind of stands out, which would turn a lot of people in the other direction.
Everyone talks about this idea of at least I died doing what I love.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's actually a real thing. I would never want to die.
Yeah, someone say you had mad love.
I got.
Oh
man,
we're going
let's shut this off.
All right. Dad joke over.
I don't even have kids.
And that's a wrap, folks.
Got mad love for it.
That's right, and mad love for it. But hey, like I said, it was just like I said, I was not gonna let you escape this podcast without talking about that, because we were talking about the other night, man. I'm like staring at you, just casually, like, yeah, people are just all this stuff is going on. I'm like,
missiles getting dropped, but I'm still talking to this girl and dodged a bullet.
Well, I mean, and ultimately, I think it's. I had a thought and I lost it. It's doing what you love, and really, that was actually not the thought I was going. I'm just talking out my. What was I thinking?
It's like doing the mad love. Oh wait, hold on.
Mad love ruined it all.
Good job. I know.
That joke just like
it was so good. It was so good.
It was such a bad joke or good bad joke.
Good plug, but
it's
good plug. That's right. We'll try to move on from that.
Well, it's basically like why, like we were getting to the crux of why you went and like why the war wasn't a problem.
It was just important.
It feels like it didn't even enter your thought process. You're like, hey, this is what I want to go do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I, it was. This is what I was thinking, and it actually kind of feeds into that. Is I gained a much better appreciation for what I'm doing by going to other countries and seeing how other people view what I do and the whole comic book thing and how they regard us just the lust for life that people in other countries have
Yeah.
is something that's really nice to be a part of once in a while.
Yeah.
Because it's not really here.
It's taken for
I
granted
hate
here.
to say it, but there are people that are passionate about it, but overall our comic conventions and whatnot, it's about business.
Yeah.
A lot of it, there's passion and the artists are passionate about what they do, but it doesn't have that same energy
No.
that other people in other countries, whether it's, war torn or not, if they're at an event, they just, love it. I went, in Ukraine, the interesting thing was like over the weekend, it was, on average like 4,000 or 5,000 people a day, which isn't nothing to sneeze at, but it, compared to San Diego or New York or anything, it's much smaller.
Yeah.
No security. They didn't pat you down. I mean, you're in a war-torn country and you have 5,000 people walking through the doors. You don't get pat down. You don't check bags. You don't have clear bags so they can see. They don't. It's because people there, they realize, why am I going to be an idiot and ruin it for everyone else? Because I'm there to have fun and enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that is missing a lot in America in general.
Yeah.
But even in the conventions, it's just like they might die tomorrow. I mean, that actually does put a whole different perspective on life.
Yeah.
And there, they loved life. I mean, I was in a speakeasy singing Ukrainian war songs. I wasn't singing them. I hadn't learned them yet. But like just having drinks and shots and just living it up. Knowing that building might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is okay because
That's crazy.
you love life when it's no longer like guaranteed.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah.
And here we're so used to not having to worry about that.
We're spoon-fed, I think, a false sense of security and reality in the U.S. Like, I firmly believe
It's not.
that,
It's America is not how it is in other places, and in a lot of ways, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, speaking to Carla Cohen, like, last week, and, we were talking, and she was talking about, like, death, like, it was no big thing, right? And it just kind of brought a sense of reality. Like, in other countries, like, they don't care about, like, death isn't, like, revered as, like, oh, no, I'm going to die tomorrow, and, like, it's so, like, somber. They're just like, like, she's talking about her shoe collection, and, how Lucia's, like, always giving her crap for the shoes she buys, and she's like laughing with us, and it's just one of those things where and she's, if you guys know who Carla Cohen is,
She's a wonderful
she's an amazing artist, amazing woman, but and so we're laughing at this about her shoe collection. She's just talking about, like, I just gotta enjoy it. She's like, I might not be here tomorrow. She's like, I'm not gonna take the shoes with me, but at least I'm gonna have them while I'm alive. And we're like laughing at that, and I'm like, she's like, and it's the same thing with like your books and stuff, and like the art you collect, the things I collect, like, we're not taking any of this stuff with us, right? Not to get somber, but at the end of the day, like, enjoy it while it's here. Like, let's have fun. Let's make the best of it while we can. I think other places, they really see that, right? They really connect with that thought where, whatever it is, and they don't always have the luxuries we have. They don't have the money we have. They don't have all those things that...
And they're happier people.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they are happier.
100%.
I feel like it's more of like a peace, like you've come to terms with.
Well, I think you know what's
Acceptance.
important.
Yeah.
And that's eating at a restaurant in the countries I've been to, it's an experience because you're there to talk to the people you're with. Your family is important. You have generations living in the same home.
Yeah.
It's just I think their perspective and what they feel is important is experiences and each other and life.
Yeah.
Getting the most out of life. I think sometimes us Americans can be so busy trying to live their life without living in their life.
That brings me to my next kind of segue into...
I'm good at these segues.
Yeah,
Damn, you're good.
solid.
Transitions
I don't know.
are just
I don't even know what
solid,
the
dude.
next thing
We
is.
might have to
but-
just make a third chair and then a fourth chair for the guests,
segue.
right?
Like, talk about this now, please.
Yeah, but that really does kind of open up the next topic. There is, so in starting your own company, right? You worked a 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
You did your 9 to 5. You had your job that we know, we've talked about it. And was there fulfillment in that for you?
Oh, I love my 9 to 5.
So that you had.
Oh yeah,
you had
I still work for him on a freelance basis whenever he needs me.
Mm-hmm.
But I never actually wanted to leave my job.
Okay,
I
so
had no plans to leave my job when I started this.
And in creating your own company now, do you have greater fulfillment or is it the same?
It's the same. I don't think I like one more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
I like the because I was in a corporate job. I like the stuff that I create.
Yeah.
But there's just different things about this. I like the people that I create with.
Right.
In the corporate world, I didn't. It was me, the boss, and a couple other people I talked to on a regular basis, and then clients. But for this, it's more of the relationship side.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no regular paycheck. I like regular paychecks. I think
Yeah.
everyone does. But it's fulfilling in other ways. So I would say they're both equally fulfilling, just in very different ways.
I think that regular paycheck is very Americanized, because in other countries you get paid for how hard you work,
Yeah.
right? You get paid for the amount you put in,
Yeah.
which is kind of where the American dream was kind of founded with, start your own business. Like all the, a lot of immigrants that came to the country started their own business and did all that, and they started from the ground up, right? But they didn't have that regular paycheck that was going to come in. They had to put in that work,
Right.
those hours of unpaid work that eventually would lead to, their business or whatever it was they were creating. But I think what a lot of people want to achieve in life, few ever really do.
It's hard work and it's stressful. There's a lot that goes into it. No matter how, I also not gonna lie. There's a lot of jobs out there that are a lot harder than what I do, both in the corporate world and in the comic book world. But it still takes effort. It takes time. It takes showing up, and it takes getting through those frustrating days where you don't want to do it, or it doesn't seem like anything's working out, and just going, it's one day. Tomorrow I'll wake up and it'll all change. Or you go through a couple months of it not changing, and you going, well, no, this is important to me.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating. It's not necessarily it's not all, rainbows and ponies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's comic books. How serious do you need to make it? Just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point, man. That's a very, very solid point with that. Man. I'm telling you, it's deep. So one thing that got real deep for a second there. So one thing I wanted to kind of talk about too is so obviously you do sales on your website.
Yep.
You guys sell direct from your website. You also do live streams on Whatnot.
I do.
Are you doing sales on eBay or no?
No.
No.
I've been told that I need to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that buy my stuff from me and sell it on eBay.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did that, I'm kind of undercutting them, and kind of getting into their market.
You're not the first that I've heard that from.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I don't want to do that because then they're not going to buy from me, and now I'm left to depending on eBay's BS.
Yeah.
To make my sales. No, if they're doing well on eBay, that means they're coming back to me, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't need every single dollar that I've seen stuff on eBay that I'm selling for, I don't know, let's say $50. And it's on eBay for $100, and it's selling for $100. And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
You can get it on my website for half off, or half of what you're paying on eBay.
What is the website,
Right.
by the way, if you want to plug it right now?
Oh, madlovecomics.com.
Yeah.
Just want to hear it again.
You want to hear it again?
He's like madlove.com.
Not-
No, not
Mad Love.
that.
No. Don't forget the comics.
Don't forget the comics part. So it's kind of cool to see eBay do well.
Yeah.
I like to see that, but ultimately that means that they're doing well, and they can come back and then support me. I don't need to get every penny out of every single thing that I do.
If you jumped in on the regular eBay game, right on eBay Live, I would say definitely try to get on eBay Live because that's picking up. Whatnot's kind of dying out. eBay Live is going to probably.
I gotta
take
learn
over.
another thing.
I'm telling.
I need to
the
hire
thing
someone.
that's the thing is eBay has always been it's the Ford GMC, right? Like they've been around forever. Whatnot.
But their
it's the-
sales, their percentage and their fees and all that stuff. I feel like it.
It's the same as Whatnot. It's 13%.
Is
It's 13% all across. They're the exact.
If you
same.
go to my website, they don't take any of it.
Nope.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, man.
That's why I focus on the website.
But in that back to that regard, if you were to just jump in and like you said, undercut those guys, essentially you just have 2 Whatnot pages, right? You essentially just you're doing the exact same. You have, or maybe even 3 of your websites at that point, right?
Well, I use the Whatnot show to do stuff that is inventory that I have.
Yeah.
So if I sell out of something on my website, it doesn't make it to Whatnot. So it's a secondary thing for me. And that's when I can do deals if it's been sitting for a while and do
Your
discounts.
Spider-Gwen, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow. For anyone that doesn't know, if you know, you know. There's a lot of people right now that know. And I see you laughing, man. That Spider-Gwen is like, that's a grail for a lot of people.
It is. And you know, it's everything's hard numbered, so it's not like I'm like, oh, well, let me capitalize and make another 50 of these.
Yeah. I'm hoping maybe you have one laying around one day that old Russ will come across.
The personal copies.
Right.
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't have any copies of that.
Oh my
In
God,
any
he's
sense of
coming
the
just
way.
crush my dreams, guys.
You know, and
Podcast over.
Podcast over, guys.
Right? I've been really big on transparency. So recently, in the last few months, I have put in, you know, my print runs are what they are.
Yeah.
But then there's up to 2 personal copies, 2 Mad Love numbered copies, and potentially 3 Vault copies.
Mm-hmm.
But I never announced that for all of my other back issues, so I've never felt it right to go. I've been told that it wouldn't be out of the norm to do that, to have Vault and personal copies of the thing, but I never disclosed that in the initial print run.
Yeah.
So I've just never done it.
Yeah.
I sometimes wish I could. I sometimes wish I had the ability to get over that hump of never announcing it and feeling like it would be kind of a scummy thing to do. Because
I think a lot
rent if I did that.
A lot of artists do though. That's where they have their artists. Well, in the comic or book world, they have their APs, right? Yeah.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, your publishers, copies and all those. They have all of that, which is funny because in like other collectibles, artist proof is not anything typically people want to collect because it's not numbered. And it's like they could have made 60 artist proofs and example like lightsabers from EFX. If you get an artist proof, yeah, they're cool, but it's not as valuable as a numbered one.
Yeah.
Because it could have been an error, that they messed up on, or they oversold or undersold, one got damaged, so they had to create another one to make an artist proof, couldn't serialize. So it's typically not worth that much. But in the book world, APs, whole other ballgame. That's usually like a personal copy that the artist had, so those are interesting.
That is the original intent. So anything. So I've never had a book with the initials AP.
Yeah.
On it because it does stand for artist proof. I've done artist comps.
Yeah.
But they'll say like Marissa Pope will be like MP.
Yeah.
Mike DeValfo is MD. The AP thing is artist proof. And for me to ever do an AP, I would have to print one, and it would have to go to the artist for them to proof it before I print the run.
So a traditional.
It would have to be a traditional thing for me to put AP, and so because
that's respectable.
Marissa Pope and Mike DeBalfa are really good friends, and they're local in Arizona. I will probably have my first AP done. But you're only going to get it from whoever it is, artist. And it's only going to be one of them, and if they decide to sell it.
Okay.
And it'll be a proof of their art printed for them to give me the okay to print the run.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal thing. I know a lot of other businesses do it the way that they want to do it.
Yeah.
And which is, I'm not going to, sit there and say that it's wrong or right. What I will do is that's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
So nothing's ever been labeled AP.
Yeah.
And I won't
until
do
it's
it.
an actual.
Until it's an actual proof process.
Cool. Yeah, that's legit.
It has to be. That's just me to be and say that this has gone through that process of what it was originally intended for.
Yeah. Some people use it. Like I'm not saying everyone does, but a lot of people will use it as a cash grab. And they're like, "Hey, I know this will sell if I just put AP on that," and or they'll even like do a full print run. I know this for a fact. They'll have a full print run, and then they'll go back and reprint some AP copies.
Yeah, you should never have AP or AP copies after the print run.
Yeah, I've seen it, man. So
I've heard of it happening.
Yeah, and and there's no way to kind of fact unless you're talking to the printer. Hey, when were these? And it's like good luck that they're going to divulge that. But
it would be nice to I'm not going to lie, to be able to go back to like the ones that did really well.
And wish you would.
And wish I had, instead of a print run of 50, I wish I had done 100. It would have been nice, but at the same time, if you think about it, if it had been 100, maybe it wouldn't have been as collectible.
And I would say at that point, like I wouldn't even consider it a cash grab, but it's a simple idea, and I'm putting it out here so I didn't steal this idea. Is changing it up, doing a second printing, and maybe it's a black and white, or maybe
I've
it's
done that.
a different.
And I did that with that Spider-Gwen, black and white, and the reason why that I really did it. And I cut the print run in half of what the original print run was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a black and white version because it was like the 5th book I had ever released. I didn't have copyright information on the inside of the book.
Oh,
on the original Spider-Gwen. So whenever stuff got graded, I wasn't being attributed to being the publisher of that book. So the reason I did it, and after really a lot of consideration trying to figure out if I should do it, is to get my name in the copyrights on that book. To say it is mine. Because there was no way for me to say it. So that was like the big reason. But when I did it, I didn't do the same print run. I didn't do, double. It was half. So like it was only 25 of them. And it was the black and white, it was, in my opinion, not as good in how it looked. Some people like the black and white, but for me, the color was still better.
Oh, the color was phenomenal.
And I didn't want to degrade the value of the color. But I still try to do my best to make it as, there's half as many of them and do it that way. But it was mostly because of the copyright.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. Like at that point. But it was also kind of cool, I think, to open up that avenue for anyone who didn't get something.
Yeah.
Right? To get their hands on something that's still yours, right? It's still going to be somewhat exclusive.
Well, you can still get the art prints.
Different. Yeah, that's not the same. That's not the same.
The metal cards.
I love art prints. Did you do any medals of those?
Metal books?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are medals of that.
I know I'm gonna get people that are gonna probably send me some messages. Hey man, I'll sell you one for $600. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm not gonna. I'll probably get someone who'll do it, man. This is in advance for any of you that try and do that shit to me. They're like, hey, I seen you spend a one. I know you got deep pockets. Yeah, I got it for you.
Yeah. I had an artist I use now, Nathan Lorenzana, did a homage to it.
Yeah.
That's
cool. Yeah.
I like the homage better.
Oh, yeah.
Than the original.
It's good. Very,
I like
very
it better.
awesome.
It's a very different feel to it.
Yeah.
But it's the same similar pose, but the Spider-Man stuff animal is included differently, and I think he did a really good job of homaging it, but it did not. It wasn't as collectible as the original.
Yeah,
which is fine.
It's kind of like the who did it. I think Kirkman did like an homage to J. Scott Campbell's, and just recently, right? And it's kind of like, those are cool, but it's not the J. Scott Campbell that everyone likes and loves. So, which no discredit to that. Obviously, Kirkman's great, but it's just one of those things where like if I had to pick one or the other, I'm going with the original J. Scott. It's just kind of one of those things. So. But is actually, now that on that topic, who is your favorite artist, like all time?
I ain't gonna say. I don't have a favorite artist.
Man, thought he was being too nice for a second there.
I don't really have a favorite. I like it's because my style likes.
Do you have a holy grail piece, something you hope to one day own that you?
Well, it's actually not even. It's actually an art print.
Okay.
I have one signed by. It's a Batman, Dark Knight movie poster signed by Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan, and Heath Ledger.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's got museum glass and it's framed and that's in the house. I have a lot of OAs from around the world.
Yeah.
And then also local artists as well.
Is there something you don't have yet that you want to get? That you've been eyeballing?
He'll find it.
I'll find it, yeah. Someone once asked me what I want for my birthday. I'm like, don't even try because I already have it. I don't know. Batman, for some reason, the BA-12 was like my holy grail for a while.
Yeah.
There's other like comic covers that I used to have that I wish I hadn't, gotten rid of back when I got out of it for a while as far as collecting and sold my collection.
Yeah.
And I kicked myself in the foot because I had 2 copies of the first appearance of Poison Ivy and a lot of stuff like that. And I actually ended up giving one of those away through IG back when I was originally starting out. I didn't know, it was before the big. It was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which it was still picking up, but it wasn't what it is today. And then. So that was kind of unfortunate. So I want to go back and get some of those, but I don't want to pay the prices today.
Yeah.
Today's prices for 10 years ago.
I had a Batman head sketch by Jim Lee that I supposedly is still at that comic book shop because it said to James. But I don't know if I have the next Grail I want to buy.
Yeah. There's a couple pieces. I think we all have them, if we're collecting or not. I think there's something that we all want to own, right, or capture at one point or another. Whether we have or haven't, I mean, and it could always be ever changing too. Sometimes you get it and you're like, what's next?
I think for me, it's goals of which artists I want to work with.
Yeah, see, and that counts. That totally counts.
I have
100%.
I actually am my holy grail for cover artists is going to be Olivia.
What are you hoping to? Well, I don't know if I should.
Just to have her art on a cover.
Okay.
Good.
So just anything.
Good
Yeah.
No, and the thing is, my writer is friends with her,
So this is
So
we're expecting
we'll see
something
this.
next year.
so
guys,
it could
that's
possibly happen. I don't know if it will, but
It'll
that's
happen.
You heard
It'll
that.
happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll definitely happen. I guarantee. Yeah,
I hope
it's
so.
gonna
But
happen.
that's I would
And
love
we get
to have,
the AP on it.
I would love to have a J. Scott Campbell cover one day. I would love to have a
that'd
Jim
be
Lee
phenomenal.
cover. I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's hierarchies of artists I'd love to work with, but also at the same time, I know working with them would bring a lot of attention to the artists that I currently work with that are new or fresh or up and coming.
Yeah.
But I have, I guess for me it'd be which artists I want to work with next. So I have some grails there,
Yeah.
and then those would be my grails of stuff I own.
See, and I'm telling you that totally counts. We need
Yeah.
to start asking that every time we get guests.
Who do
on,
you want
like,
to work with next?
Yeah, who do you want to work with? What do you want to like? Whatever it is, whether it's a collaboration or whatever. I think I need to ask that. It's kind of like it's important. I think, and
They're all going to say they want to be on a podcast called Real Talk Russ.
Yeah, we're playing.
Hey.
And then they've accomplished it. I don't know. Yeah, and that's because I think we all have that. I think that's kind of what makes us all kind of similar, regardless of who you are, what you do. Is there's always something we're chasing, right? There's always something that we want to accomplish, we
seeking
want
process,
to achieve.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that seeking whether improvement or seeking that not even the wow factor, but that little bit of gratification of saying, "Man, I've done it," with whatever it is, and that's important, I think. And the minute you lose sight of that or you don't have that, it's almost a sad, scary spot to be in.
Yeah, it's what that fulfillment is,
Yeah,
and chasing after that, and not losing sight of it, the passion.
yeah. It keeps the passion alive. It keeps us going, I think. Man, James, it's been phenomenal, man, having you
Thank
on.
you.
I think we're gonna have to do a part 2.
And we got to do a part 2.
We have to
Yeah.
do a part 2 because we still got to.
It's only a 6
Next year, San Diego.
Next year, San Diego.
Yeah, next.
There you
Well, so
You're gonna
like.
make them wait a whole year. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we have.
We'll be in
There's
Arizona.
there's a lot of other things we got to do. Well before then, I'm telling you, well before then. And we're gonna have Zach too from Goblin on too. So we'll definitely maybe he'll be here for that. But yeah, we'll definitely have Zach on too. And just real quick, actually, to kind of get those plugs in on Whatnot. What's your guys' handle on Whatnot? Not that I don't know, but I want you to plug it in.
Isn't my Whatnot handle Mad Love Comics and Art? Or do I just say Mad Love Comics? I can't remember.
So look
Or
for
just
both.
Mad Love Comics?
Look for both. If you
Mad
guys
Love
are,
Comics.
if you're listening to this, you may or may not know we are also on Whatnot, and that's where Zach would say "crust." So when I first this is where this whole thing started. Yeah, this is where this whole thing started, and I have to. I'll give everyone on Whatnot before we're done with this a huge shout out. But so Zach, the first time I ever jumped on and I started buying stuff from him on the stream, he was reading it fast. And KT was helping him, right? She's just kind of rolling through, and he's just like, "Yeah, real tall crust. All right, crust." And he just kept calling me crust, and I'm like, "Nah, that's not what he's saying." And then everyone's like, "No, I think that's what he's saying."
Yeah, calling crust.
He was totally saying crust, dude. So I'm like, "Dude, that's yeah." So I typed it, and I'm like, "It's Russ," and I put LOL, and he's like, "Oh shit," and then he's like, "Well, I feel like a fucking idiot." It was just
Good. That's what you get, Zach, for talking too fast.
Right, so we were just laughing the whole time. So then ever since then, he's just like, I can't go back on it, man. It's still crust. He's like,
Yeah.
you're just crust from now on. So every time I jump on, I'm like, what's that? He's like, crust, and he just goes all crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, if you're not on Whatnot or you guys haven't checked them out, just check out Mad Love Comics, man. They're absolutely phenomenal. What James is doing there is absolutely
And Cody.
great.
Shout out to Cody.
Yeah. Shout out to Cody. He's holding it down right now, right? He's holding it down. Well, we're out here screwing around in San Diego.
A little help. It's always appreciated. He does a great job, so it's not me, it's him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Cody's a great guy. So if you chime in on there, give them both a shout out, guys. They're two great people. Like I said, what you guys are doing great, man. I cannot wait to see what happens, and who knows, maybe we'll work together in the future, man.
Maybe
we'll do something.
We'll put you in a cosplay book. How How about that?
Hell
Let's
yeah.
go.
The
Yeah.
Real Talk Russ cosplay book.
That's right. Ben Perella cover. You guys know what
Hey, I want to see it. Just
I'll be the burlesque.
That's right.
I'll be
A burlesque Van Perella cover.
But it's Ty.
But it's
Yeah, Ty, I'll put you in a book. I actually am gonna make a book of. I screenshot Zach when he does his whatnot shows and shows his face,
so
that I can make a book out of it.
we talked
That's
about
awesome.
this. Do you remember that we were talking
Yeah.
about this? So
I just haven't done it yet. I'm waiting for the right time.
Dude,
Waiting
come
for the
on,
right
man.
screenshot for the cover.
Dude.
I have ones of his legs. You know, I got all kinds of stuff
So
I could use.
That's been like I keep saying it, man. I'm like, I'll buy it, and they're like, no, you would. I'm like, I'll buy it. I
And
swear
there's
I
only
will.
gonna be like 5 copies.
Yeah,
That's
see,
it.
so just save one for me. We'll do this, man. We'll make it happen. But yeah, so on Whatnot, like I said, you guys have been great too. And if you guys are not following them, make sure you guys give them a follow. And on that topic, real quick, we'll kind of give a shout out to some really, really awesome people. I'll let Ty talk about it when he wants to as well on Whatnot. But like I said, Zach from Goblin Collectibles, just phenomenal guy, man. And like I said, he will be on the podcast as well, so we'll have him here. Ochre, who's another really great guy. You guys all
Ochre's
Ochre.
Ogre, phenomenal man. We appreciate you. Always showing a lot of love and respect. And he's one of those, I think, if you aren't following him, a lot of people are. Definitely check his page out. That guy is he's great at what he does. Such a nice guy. Just a good human being overall. You can't see enough good stuff about him. Very supportive. And he really kind of brings that whole community, I think, to a good light. Because there could be, we know this, man, there could be a lot of slimy people that do a lot of slimy stuff. And at the end of the day, it's nice to meet someone who's not, they're just refreshing. And they're just all about good vibes and positivity and just kind of sharing that. And I think that's important. And, and it should be celebrated when you come across genuine people like that. So, Ochre, phenomenal guy. Metal Zombie, another one, phenomenal guy, man.
Yeah, he's
Metal's
cool.
just a really, really...
Awesome.
He's kind of local. He's not too far. I think he's not too far in Cali where we're at now. So, another really great guy. I have to give these people just some recognition. Zerp, told you I'd give you a shout out, man. You're a good guy, Zerp. But yeah, all these people, like I said, really good people. And is there anyone you guys want to plug in or talk about and just give them
I
some...
want the same, just kind of second who you mentioned, and those guys have always been super dope to us, and just the love that they show to us, the love that you guys show, like it's awesome. So it keeps me coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of good sellers out there. Like I said, personally, I have zero animosity with any sellers, anyone out there. That you guys are all really great.
That's not what you said last night. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I have some animosity.
Yeah. Well, did I mention I don't like Zach? No, I'm kidding. That's not true. No,
Zach's on the
but
phone.
yeah, there's a lot of great people out there, and I appreciate all the support and connections that we've had, because I could say you guys have been very welcoming with me and getting started on there, and just kind of even you right now sitting here is because you guys were so welcoming with with us jumping into the scene, and it's like I said, that's why I look forward to working with you guys again in the future, and hopefully we have some exclusive stuff with some of you guys, because it would be great. It would 100% be great and welcomed. And it's like I said, it's been fun, man. It's been a fun ride. So yeah. With that being said, we're gonna wrap it up, guys, and we'll have all the credits rolling to give everyone some credit and like I said, some love to share it there. But it's been fun. I can say, James,
Yeah, it was a
appreciate
pleasure.
you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll get you back on.
Yeah.
We'll get you back on. This won't be the last you see of James.
We'll do it sparingly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, once again, thanks for tuning in to Real Talk Russ podcast, guys. We love and appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for stopping in.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.